Hello. Thank you, thank you. Okay, this is behind me. So my talk is creating a brand in a few million easy steps. And I say a few million because every single thing that a company or a product does impacts their brand in some way. The person that answers your phone can make or break your brand. And I also picked that title because I'm not going to teach you all the things that are required to make a brand, partly because we only have 20 minutes, and partly because I'm just not that smart. But I also want to use our own brand, the Ueno brand, to explain the main points, because most of our clients wouldn't really want us to give you as much insight as I'm going to try and give you today. But there's also another trick. I'm going to use our brand because I have no shame, and you are all stuck here, and there's 1,000 of you, and I'm just going to use this opportunity because you can't leave. So I just have one job here today, and it's not going to be easy, but I'm going to try to have you fall in love with me. And then the Ueno brand. And to make it extra hard, I'm going to try and I'm going to tell you all the tricks that I'm using as I'm using them, and see if that helps or hurts. Now, my name is Haraldur Thorleifsson, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a good joke. The first conference that I actually spoke at was the Awwwards Conference in Barcelona a few years ago. And these are always really special events. And for some reason, they keep inviting me back. So let's see if I don't fuck it up this time. But I just want to thank the wonderful Awwwards crew for having me. I also want to say, before I begin, that this is the first time that I'm doing this particular talk. Usually I do the same talk a few times, and as time, I have a hair here. As time goes on, it gets better. So you're going to be seeing the worst version of this particular talk. And I also just started writing it 3 hours ago. But I have, over the last year, done a lot of talks, and one thing that's happened through all of them, partly because I've asked for it, is I always get a standing ovation. And I don't know if you've ever flown like first class on a plane, but it's very hard to go back to coach. So I just want to, I'll remind you in the end, but just remember, standing ovation. So before I get into some of the other expressions of our brand, I need to show you some of our work, because no matter how good our brand is, if our work isn't good or great, we won't be successful. I also know this audience, and remember, I'm trying to make you fall in love with us. So the best way to connect with you, the first way to connect with you, is to show you some work, because you're all probably designers, developers, people that appreciate that kind of crap. So let's start with some work. We've worked with a bunch of big companies. We've worked with Oculus on a bunch of things. We've worked with Facebook on a bunch of stuff. Uber as well. We did some work with a startup called Cowboy. I'll just quickly go through these. We did this thing. Apple stuff, Asia, something. We've done all sorts of stuff. It's all very impressive. 3D, wow. ESPN, car stuff, Slack. Anyway, so we've done so much great work that we had to hire an awards photographer just to take photos of our awards. And just to prove that, I'm going to show you this video.
My name is James, and I'm the official award photographer here at ueno. There's a lot of them, and we got to put them on social media. Frankly, it's a pretty steady stream. I start in the morning, and then just kind of wait for the awards to roll in. Awards for best hair at an agency, website of the day, we usually get that. We got Webbies, we got a few from D&AD. Got the Lodi, fastest loading website, Pixel Awards, the Appies, the Clickies for most clickable, the Golden Scroll, got a Hover Award at the Pointer event, CSS Awards, award for the best rectangle, award for the best triangle, an award for the best use of white space, third runner-up at the Runner-Up Awards. I kind of like to think that each of these awards really has a story to tell, and it's my job as the award photographer to find it first, I suppose. Regard the award, examine it, think about what it's trying to tell you, and then put it on Instagram, I guess.
So I show you that video just to, again, laughing is one way of connecting with people. So that's one of the tricks that we use when we explain to people what we do, like I'm doing right now. But why is branding important? So here's, probably most people know this, but we're not logical, not a logical species. Many of us think we are. I think there's probably some developers here, and they probably think so, but we're not. We're all controlled by emotion. And then we work backwards from our emotions, and we rationalize the decisions that we made. And so when you think about most products, most of the products you use are commodities. But we don't pick the ones that are the cheapest or the best. We pick the ones that we connect with. So I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the Pepsi challenge, but it is, I think, technically ongoing. But in the 60s, 70s, well, I don't know, 70s and 80s, I think, PepsiCo set up the Pepsi challenge because they realized that in a blind taste test, most people actually preferred Pepsi over Coke. So they had people take a sip of each without knowing which one it was, and then, predictably, they would say Pepsi. But the thing, though, is that Coke outsells Pepsi 2-to-1, 3-to-1, 4-to-1, depending on the market. So what the Pepsi challenge really proved was that the Pepsi marketing team was not great. They had a product that was better, but they still massively undersold their competition. So the Pepsi challenge really proved the power of branding. For decades, Coke and Pepsi have sold sugared water, but they brand it as something completely different. And just me saying the word Coke now will spark something in your brain. You probably want a Coke. By the way, this talk is sponsored by Coke. So again, hopefully you liked some of the work that I showed you before, but the Pepsi challenge really proved that that's not enough. There's a lot of people that create good work. We had Matt Falk from Basic here before. They do fantastic work. We have Peter Smart from Fantasy, amazing work. A lot of people do really great work. But how do you then stand out? How do you become not like everyone else? So everyone kind of wants the same thing. Everyone wants to belong. They want to be loved and cared for. You want to laugh. You want to have fun. You want to be safe. You want to be free from pain. And so that's what we try to give you in a short amount of time, something that gives you what you want. We give you an illusion sometimes, but if you buy into it, what's the difference between an illusion and reality? You have a temporary feeling. We help you solve a problem. we give you a connection, we give you a relationship. And so to create that relationship, we need to have common ground. We need to have something that connects you to me, or you to our brand, or whatever. We have to have a common set of values that connects us. So you can absolutely fake feelings, but it's a lot of work, and especially at scale. So it's a lot easier if you're not faking it. So to help articulate this a little bit, I want to show you some of our values. This is from a talk that I did last year, partly, again, because I think it's important, but also I kind of ran out of time, so I needed need to review some stuff. But I'm going to try and do this in a way that relates to you. So we have 5 core values at Ueno. The first one is that we're all in this together. And I can talk about that in many different ways. I can tell you about Bueno, which is our initiative to give $1 million to good causes over the next 10 years. I can tell you that half of our people are women, which is very rare in our industry. I can tell you that half of any increase in profits that we have, we give out to our employees. And by telling you all of this, you now think that I'm super nice. So that's how that works. Number 2, we have our value is be raw. And just imagine that I told you something very vulnerable. And so that's how that works. Figure it out. If you don't have all the things you need, just create them. Every floor is a dance floor. If you don't wait until you're at the place. It's just do your little jiggy. Bring the chocolate. I don't want to talk about this one. And then life is short. Enjoy it. So this is one of my favorite ones because life is short. It's not just, it's a good phrase, but it's true. And so we do a lot of things to have fun. So this is sort of the middle of the talk, and I wasn't sure how it would go, so I did one trick. Gene, if you can come on. So one of my tricks here is I brought Gene with me, and he has a T-shirt gun. And it doesn't make any sense to the rest of the talk, but it kind of just, it's going to be memorable. You're going to remember this thing that we did.
Sorry.
No, keep going. And to make it extra special, I also want to show you this photo of Gene. And for all of you that don't get a T-shirt, I don't know.
Too bad.
Too bad. They're really great.
I don't know about that.
One more?
Last one. Yeah, you're not going to get one. All right. Goodbye.
Bye, Gene. One of the smart things that brands do is they use stories. And stories are how we as people have understood the world for thousands of years. And a great brand is really great at telling stories. So when we at Ueno tell stories, we start with our brand. We start with our values. Most of you will forget most of what I said here, but you will be hopefully left with a feeling, an emotion. One way to create emotions is to surprise you, to be vulnerable, which I faked in a little bit earlier, to open yourself or to make you feel heard. For example, I could ask you, where are you from, and something like that, and you would feel like, oh, he connected with me, and I won't do that, but that's a trick. Or I can use humor. One way to let people put their guard down is through laughter, and so this is what great brands do. They first go for the emotion through their stories. And then they use logic and the facts to help rationalize the part of the brain that justifies the emotion. So when we tell stories, there's a lot of different stories we tell. We tell stories when we want to hire people, for example. And we could do that in a pretty direct way, or we could tell you or show you that, again, Gene, that maybe you're in a sucky job, and maybe you want to leave that sucky job, and you have hovering art directors, and you want to join a place that doesn't have that. We also have that, but we can trick you. We can make you think that if you join Ueno, it's not going to be like this. That you'll have a lot of autonomy and you'll do great work for great brands and you'll have a nice time. But there are many ways to tell this, the same story. We also created something called the interview, where we took some of our people, we created these little 3D characters out of them. Our photographer, Troy, for example, or Najla, who was our people experience manager. We created this little game where you could interact with our people, you could chat with them in sort of a nonsensical way. And then you would fight the big boss, which was me. And then by the end of it, you wanted, hopefully, to work there. And then we tell you, hey, we're hiring. And you click that button, and then, you made that mistake. Or we can tell you stories through videos, or we can tell you whatever. Anyway, I'm running out of time, and I hadn't done this talk before, so I'm going to talk a little faster now. Okay. So a brand is not a logo. The croning here is a little off. But a brand is really about how you behave, the things you do for people, how you do them, why you do them. But there are things like logos that exist, and we make them, and they're important too. But a logo is just the tip of the spear. So this is our logo. Our logo just needs to be able to sit next to some crazy shit. It's a sophisticated part of us that we want you to believe that we have. It's the part that says, don't worry, we know what we're doing. That's all it needs to do. And also it's our name, so that helps. And then there's like the logo rules. I don't know who comes up with this crap, but don't do this, apparently. We have a pretty complicated brand because we are a brand company, and so we could create a very big brand. We have a lot of different colors. We work with a lot of different illustrators to create art. This isn't working. And we create all sorts of things. They're very nice. This thing was created in paper for some reason. That's my daughter. We also created systems for our brand. We created rules on how to use these assets, and from there we created all sorts of stuff, like notebooks and more notebooks. And we have typography guidelines, and from there we created chocolate and stuff. So I'm about to wrap up. It says 20 seconds here, but that's not accurate. But the last thing I want to say is that branding and culture are really two sides of the same coin. Every single interaction that a customer has with your brand is important. And the only way to have those interactions live up to your brand is if everyone at your company understands your brand and they live that brand and they breathe that brand and they fart that brand. So we spend a lot of time internally telling stories. We support initiatives that we like. We create offices and that are extensions of our brand where community and collaboration and art all come together. And we do all sorts of other stupid stuff. We have, for a 5-year birthday, we decided to create a song, to write a song, original song, and to make a video. And we created an international superstar, Tori Satins, and his album, The Flowers of My Youth. And this is almost at the end of this. Dear awards people, I'm out of time, I know, but I'm going to show you this video because
Ladies and gentlefolk, girls and boys, it is my exquisite pleasure to introduce to you a man who needs no introduction. The man whose musical machinations will take your ears on a journey to the center of your soul. Straight from Humboldt County, it's my man, Tori Satins.
5 years, that's not too long, but it's half a decade on since a lonely man with a half-baked plan started ueno. With a keen eye for classy design, he was working all alone. But the clients rolled in, so we hired a friend, and you wouldn't believe how we've grown. Now we're living the dream and building a team. Yeah, we're on a golden road. With lots of new faces and new office spaces, creators of things a la mode. Well, we're energized by our KPIs. We're clearly on a roll. There's harmonizing and strategizing. Yes, ueno is breaking the mold. Now the Slacks and emails and meeting alerts are greeted with...
That's enough. Okay. So again, my job today was to try and get you to fall in love with me and ueno. I don't really know if that worked. Probably not. Again, this is the first time. It's the worst version of this talk. So, but I do have one last trick. I'm going to play a song that everyone loves, and then you're going to translate some of that love onto me. That's how that works. So again, remember when I told you in the beginning about the standing ovation? It's that time. So no pressure, no, but some pressure. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a wonderful time. Goodbye.